third graders. So today we're going to learn about balance of power between the three branches of government, the executive, judicial, and legislative branch. So grab your government packet and your questions. You have already answered your preview questions, your before questions talking about the branches, and we're going to get ready to learn about them. Follow along in your packet as we discuss the balance of power. While each branch of the government has its own job to do, each branch also has some power over the other branches. So we talked about that before, that the legislative branch makes laws, executive branch can veto laws or approve laws. They're in charge of the army, and the judicial branch decides if things are constitutional. So they all have their own job, but then they also work together. This system of them helping each other is called checks and balances. It was created to make sure that all parts of the government work together for the good of the American people. Checks and balances mean that each branch can check or limit the power of the other two branches to make sure the power is balanced. So they will make sure that the other two branches are following rules and that they don't get too powerful in making all the decisions. The other two branches can then limit the power of the third branch if it tries to take too much control. The power of each branch is checked by the other two branches in different ways. For example, the Supreme Court, the judicial branch, can check Congress, the legislative branch, by stating that a law does not follow the Constitution. If the Supreme Court says that a law is unconstitutional, un means not, so not constitutional, that law can no longer be a law in the United States. So if Congress says we want a law saying everyone has to be in separate groups, the Supreme Court and the judicial branch can say, oh no, that does not follow the Constitution. The Constitution says that we're created equal. And so they say, nope, you cannot put that law into place. The president, who's in the executive branch, can check the power of Congress, the legislative branch, too. If the president does not like a law, he can veto it or refuse to sign it. So if the legislative branch and Congress want a law, they send it to the president in the executive branch, and if he doesn't agree with it, he can veto it, which means he's not signing it into action, and then it doesn't become a law. But Congress, the legislative branch, can also check the power of the president's veto. So if the president vetoes it, they can go back and do something. If Congress wants the law badly enough, they can vote again. So if they send the bill to the president and he says no, they can vote again to try to become a law. They have to get 2/3 or 75 or 67% of the members of Congress to vote against the president, which is kind of hard to do. People don't like to go against the president. If they get 2/3 or 67% voting against the president, then the bill will become a law without the president's signature. So that is a way that they can go back and still get their law in place. Congress, the legislative branch, also has other checks on the president's power. The president can make treaties with other countries. Remember, a treaty is a peace agreement. But Congress has to approve the agreements before they go into effect. So the president can say, we're going to make peace with this country, And before that happens, Congress has to say, yes, they agree. Although the president has the power to choose people to be on the Supreme Court or Supreme Court justices, the heads of government departments and members of the cabinet, those choices or appointments have to be approved by Congress before they can take the job. And that's actually happening right now. Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away. She was a justice, and President Trump has appointed a new Supreme Court justice that he wants to take her place. The Congress members have to approve his appointment before she would actually become a Supreme Court justice. In your packet, you have this chart, which helps you to understand how each branch can check on the other one or make sure they're following rules. So the executive branch, which is the president, he carries out laws that Congress makes and the judicial branch interprets. He can check on the legislative branch because they can propose laws. He can veto their laws. He can make appointments and negotiate treaties. Okay. Then the executive branch or president can check on the judicial branch by appointing the judges and grant pardons to federal offenders. That means allow them to not have to go to jail. The legislative branch can check on the president by overriding a veto. We talked about that. They have to get another 67%. Approve the appointments or the people he wants to be in different offices. Approve the treaties, the peace agreements, and they make the budget that the president would then work on spending. The legislative branch can check on the judicial branch because it can remove judges. If there's a judge that's not doing their job, the legislative branch can vote to remove a judge. They can approve the appointments of the justices and make amendments to overrule a decision by the judicial court. So if the judicial branch says a law is unconstitutional, they can amend or change it so that it will pass. The judicial branch, which involves the Supreme Court, can check on the president by declaring acts of Congress unconstitutional. So it actually is with both ways. Decisions that both the executive and legislative branch make, the judicial branch can say, nope, that does not follow our country's constitution, and therefore it cannot take place. All right, so today we talked a lot about how the branches have to support and work together and check on each other so that no one becomes more powerful. Later on, you're going to answer your after questions.